Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's actually a pretty nice start to the day. It was a little chilly this morning, but overall things are starting to improve. We've got clear blue skies for the most part. Temperatures already at 60 degrees right now, and we're going to continue to see temperatures climb into the mid 70s over the next couple of hours. So definitely, maybe even some upper 70s in a few places. So definitely going to be a pretty spring-like day. If you can, definitely enjoy some outdoor time. If I'm definitely going to try to.
No, go outside for sure.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring a book outside or something.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty nice rest of your Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, it's already going to be looking fantastic. Just like Ashley said, try your best to go outside. If you can take your lunch outdoors, it'll be into the 70s and 60s. It will feel fantastic. On your way home from work, might want to just roll down the windows. Temperatures in the mid 70s, a light breeze with plenty of sunshine. Hard to beat the weather that we're expecting today. However, with the spring-like temperatures, we are going to be talking about spring-like weather returning to our forecast as well.
Yeah, so tomorrow night into Wednesday or to Thursday morning, there is a marginal risk for areas mainly in the lower delta, which is a level 1 out of 5, for an isolated strong storm. But with that, it's really just going to be damaging winds and maybe some small hail. But overall, most of us are going to stay relatively dry. This is the early morning hours on Thursday, heading into just after the Thursday morning commute. Again, as you could tell, most of this stays further off to the north. Again, maybe a few rumbles of thunder in the lower delta and our far most northern counties in our viewing area, but most of us stay relatively dry for your Thursday. But we've really got all of our attention on Friday and Saturday of this upcoming, the end of this week and this upcoming weekend, which are first alert weather days.
Yeah, the setup is looking increasingly likely to bring us some pretty strong to even severe storms in the forecast. We are in that level 3 out of 5 risk for a good portion of central Mississippi. So areas along I-55 and to the east really is where we're looking at for that the higher likelihood of that severe storms. But it's Friday and Saturday. Friday, we're also in that slight risk as well. So it's both Friday and into Saturday. So it depends on where you are in central Mississippi. But to be honest with you, even in that slight risk, I think that the threats are still going to be there. It's just not as prominent as places further off to the east, especially into much of Alabama.
Yeah. So this is kind of the situation that we're in. Models have been back and forth. They're not really in agreement right now in terms of what we're expecting timing wise. We could be looking at 2 rounds of storms. The first scenario would be that where we see those 2 rounds, that first batch much more isolated and discrete on Friday night, and then a second round Saturday, which would be more of a line system that moves through Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. Or we could be looking at a different scenario where it's all in one batch that would be late Friday and into early Saturday. Models are still back and forth on whether or not we'll see 1 or 2 rounds of storms. But regardless, all modes of severe weather in both scenarios are looking more likely. So here's how it's looking. This is just one of our models that shows that 2-round scenario. That first round on Friday, where it would be more isolated, discrete cells. And then that second round would be that line that moves in Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. And that would continue further off to the east in Alabama and Georgia later on Saturday night into Sunday morning. So with that second round, that stuff that comes on Saturday, it looks a little bit more potent, if you will, especially further off to the east and into Alabama. So that's what it's looking like timing wise. Again, that other scenario, kind of shown here with our storm energy, is where we see just all of that activity in one go around late Friday night. This is about 10 o'clock on Friday night, and this continues into the early morning hours on Saturday. As you can tell, we're kind of getting into that middle and higher end of that scale. However, we have to take this with a grain of salt. This will more than likely change, number one, and number two, depending on the timing of the system, while the ingredients are there, the storms may not be there. So it really is all going to come down to when the system moves in. If we do see that 2-round scenario or just the all in one shot kind of go around in terms of storms. So while this does show the ingredients are there, all is going to depend on how that system sets up and what it looks like as it moves closer to us here in central Mississippi. So again, we take this with a grain of salt, but we just want to prepare you heading into the end of this week.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something that we have to pay attention to no matter what. I do think that the long range models they're longer range. So you might have seen that a little bit of green that just popped up into the Friday night time frame. And something I wanted to point out is that's just a long range model. So some of those could be actually discrete thunderstorms that do have the potential to be very strong or severe. But again, that is something that you should be mindful of. Once we get into really the day tomorrow, we'll have a much better and clear picture into Friday. Well, some of our more short range models will be able to pick up on the day on Friday. So I want you to be aware that once we go into Wednesday and then especially into Thursday, we'll be able to fine tune this forecast much more into a more hour by hour approach, as well as will we see that system develop a certain way? Which model run is it leaning more towards? And again, we'll have much more clarity by the time that I'm happy that we were on the same page there.
Yeah.
We'll have much more clarity by the time that we really get into Thursday. I think that's when we'll be safe to say, hey, this is what we're expecting. We're going to answer this question real quick. So the system on Wednesday night is just a marginal risk.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's only for the lower delta.
Yeah. Back into the lower delta. It does push into some portions of the east. It'll continue to track east. So if you live further off, way off to the north of I-20, back to areas well off to the north of Highway 25 into, I would probably say just to the north of, I'm trying to think of that county, Smith County, Scott County. So I would say just well off to the north of the Jackson Metro. So if you do live off to the north, still keep your weather guards up. But to be honest, it's still a very marginal risk. And if anything does fire up, it's just going to be some gusty winds, maybe some small hail associated with some of the cells.
Yeah. And kind of, we don't like to compare systems, but it'd be kind of the situation that we saw this past weekend where we had had winds and thunderstorms. But again, very, very few of us, I think, are going to be dealing with that late Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. So, but we do just want to let you know that there is that chance for an isolated stronger storm. Main threats, again, damaging winds and the potential for some smaller hail. But again, that's pretty much all we have for today. Luckily, we don't have to worry about any kind of storms for your Tuesday and most of your Wednesday. Going to be relatively quiet. Beautiful blue skies here on our First Alert Skycam network. But again, just want to give you all of the scenarios, what we're looking at. And again, over the next couple of days, we'll be able to narrow down the time frame, talk more about intensity of impacts, for lack of a better term. But overall, we'll continue to keep you updated even later on today. Elise and Dave Roberts will be on to give you more details about what you can expect later on this week.
Yeah, but that's all we have for you right now. Again, make sure you come back every single day this week. And if this is the one that you catch, make sure that you catch it as we get going into the end of this week, because we'll have a much clearer look by the time we hit Thursday and into Friday about what exactly we're going to be expecting and how you can prepare as well. We'll be talking about that once we get closer. But for now, go outside, enjoy the beautiful weather, and have a great rest of your day.